My Very Happy Life at the time, and I was really interested in it. The behavior was so extreme and so upsetting that it had nothing to do with me. It didn't really have to do with anything that I would relate to, anything, just except that within the bounds of what we consider regular people, here these people had done these kind of shocking things. So I think mostly when I read scripts, I'm intrigued by people. I think people within these stories, these very human stories. It's almost like being inside a book. Like, to me, I feel like I've walked inside a really terrific novel, and I get to be inside the live book, I think.
Was that an attitude that you came to acting with, your desire to act? Was it born out of that?
The reading, yeah. Yeah, I was a big reader when I was a kid. We moved around a lot. And I was always like the first person at the library, checking out as many books as I could, and I loved it. And then when I started doing acting in school, it seemed like I was reading aloud. That's just, you just feel like you're in the story. So yeah, it was that kind of progression, I think. I don't think I'm naturally a performer. I don't actually like to, some people are kind of wonderful on stage and can really, perform, sing and dance and do comedy and do all this kind of, that kind of, and for me I can't do it unless I'm in a story.
So you're coming at it from a more internal place.
I think so, yeah.
And you started out in soaps, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any tricks that you learned in soaps? Because soap acting is very specific that you still come back to. What's
interesting about I forced myself to watch myself, because I'd come right out of college. I'd been out of college about a year when I got a job on the soap opera, and I was terrified, and I didn't know anything about camera acting. And so I'd watch, and I remember this one girl said to me, you have to make sure you're focusing on one of my eyes, because if you'll notice, Michael Caine does this in his video on acting. If you look at a person, you look at both their eyes, on camera, your eyes will flicker back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you don't see that until you look at, until you actually look at the screen. And this other young actress said to me, no, you have to focus on, one thing, and you can change your focus. But so that kind of stuff. And there'd be all this tension in my face, and I learned to move the tension off camera. I was like, if I was going to have it, because it wasn't the place where I could be relaxed, I would just at least have it off camera. So I had my fists in a knot or something, anything, just to. But I kept, it let me learn how to work with a camera. That was really what it did. And you work every single day from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, and you really have to memorize a lot of stuff, and you fail, and so you learn from your mistakes. So you see yourself like, well, that was terrible. Okay, let me try this. Yeah.
You didn't develop a taste for melodrama?
Oh, who doesn't love melodrama? My favorite line from As the World Turns was about my boyfriend. I came down the stairs. I said to my mother, now that I know that Kevin is out of jail, I think I'll take a nap. So, what's not to love, man?
Did you, by the time you got cast in soaps, because you were young, did you think, well, this is it, I've made it,
no,
here I am?
I didn't. No. I was just like, I have a job, thank you, I have a job. And I was always that way, I always thought, I still feel like, okay, what am I going to do next? I don't think you can ever feel like you've arrived anywhere, because we're freelancers. You don't, even a soap opera contract, I had one for three years, and there were certain clauses where they could fire me if they wanted to, so you never really know. It's not a sure thing. So I don't think I've ever felt that way, yeah.
Well, I want to talk also a little bit about A Single Man, which you did last year, which I don't know if you guys got a chance to see.
Thank you.
Do you want to just set it up a little bit?
Sure. This is Tom Ford's beautiful movie, Single Man, based on Christopher Isherwood's novella of the same name, starring the glorious Colin Firth as a man who has recently lost his lover, his longtime lover, and it's really a story about somebody grieving, about how do you go through your life when you've lost your partner. And he also feels invisible too. It's 1962 when he's not out as a gay man, so he feels like he doesn't sort of count. And he's planning on killing himself in the film. And I play his best friend Charlie, who's who they went to school together. They were lovers briefly, but have been best friends for years. And she's kind of one of those slightly dissolute, alcoholic, expatriate women who live in LA. I don't know. She's had a tough time of it, but she's kind of remarkably full of life and loves him and is in love with him. And Tom kind of wrote this beautiful like vignette. This kind of scene for Charlie and George in the middle of the movie.
Did he write the part with you in mind? I mean, I know it's an adaptation.
He said he did. I mean, he told me I was always his choice. And Tom and I've been friends for a long time and know each other from fashion things and stuff. And he always said, "Oh, I'm going to make a movie," and I was always like, "Oh yeah," And then I ran into him at the Met Ball, of all things, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going with your movie?" and and he just kind of lit up. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to send it to you." And I was like, "Oh no," because you think, anytime a friend says to you, "Let me," you don't know. And I read it. Yeah. I read it, and I was like, "Wow." And I emailed him, and I said, "It's just great. I'll do it." And Tom was adorable, and it's like, "Is that it? Should I come over and talk to you? Should we have a meeting? Do you want to see pictures? Do you want to?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can." I said, "But I'll do it." Oh, Tom has such an incredible eye for everything, really. But what was so amazing to me about these characters too is that they were both of them were very deliberately constructed by the characters themselves. There was you can see Charlie in the process of constructing herself with the eye makeup and the hair and the outfit and the jewelry and everything. And you see George do it as well with how he lays out his suits and his glasses and his hair, everything just that idea that nothing's accidental. Everything that we do is completely deliberate. And so Tom's interest in that, in the difference between the private self and the public self, and just that idea that we can be our own creations. You can see the artifice and the artistry in all of it. I thought was really fascinating.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. Oh. What is it like to kiss Colin Firth?
Oh, he's so great. This is a story. I've told this story many times, so people may have heard it. Or I've told it in newspapers and stuff too. But Tom would be like, "Colin, don't kiss her back." And Colin would go, "Oh, sorry, yeah." And I do it again, and I was like, "You're doing it again, Colin. You're gay. Don't kiss her back." But anyway, it kept going on that way, and finally, because what would happen was I'd kiss him, and Colin would go, like that toward me, and I'm like, I said, "Keep your arms at your sides. Just don't lift it. Let me," because I could fall over him. I'm sloppy and everything, and I said, "Just just go like that. Don't," because the minute you lean into me, it's But what a great guy. We literally spent the entire 3 days we shot together talking nonstop about people we knew, knew in common.
You shot that part in just 3 days?
3 days, yeah. Yeah, and that stuff that you just saw with the door, it was very late at night because we were shooting all night shoots. We were in a house, and it was supposed to be night, so it was dark, but it was early in the morning at that point.
Do you like to have a lot of takes?
No. I don't, because I feel like, for me, the trick about film acting, and it's different than acting on stage, is that you want to be prepared. I want to be prepared enough and know what the shots are and know what's going on for me to do. Then when I do the scene, I want something to happen to me on camera. So I don't want to do it again and again and again. I don't want to deaden it because I don't want to keep just. I don't always want to know exactly what I'm doing. I want to be taken by surprise by another actor's performance or by my reaction to something, because that's the trick. If you can have an emotional reaction on camera, that's what you're trying to do, not construct something so fully. When you're doing a play, you have to recreate emotional moments, so you have to figure out a way to do it night after night after night to get to that spot. But in film, you can actually allow yourself to have the experience on camera, which is really cool.
How does that work, though, for a sex scene? That has to be a little choreographed, right?
Sex scenes are not real, that's not real. That's really, that's tricky because, I mean, it depends on what you're communicating. You know, and the kids are all right. The onus was really off of us because it was comedic. So the most important thing that we're trying to, the most important thing we're doing is trying to make you laugh. We're really trying to make you laugh. And also, if you notice in the scene, like, I never even look at him. You know, it's sort of a great kind of rambunctious, fun connection thing. But in terms of being emotional and connecting, I never really look at him. Now, if you're doing a big, I think it's very difficult when you're doing a big, very romantic love scene. When I did End of the Affair with Ralph Fiennes, it's a very, very sexy movie about what it means to be in love and to have a huge affair. And that's tough. That's tough to do. But you know, you try to, it's really all about how you look at each other. It ends up being more about that than anything else.
So when you're not looking at Mark's character in Kids, was that a choice that you made?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's completely, you know, she's interested in him. He's a friend. You know, he's a great and wonderfully validating friend, and somebody who sees her completely differently than her family does, and kind of allows her to kind of unlock these feelings. You know, she says that when Jules and Nick have the fight, she said, "I just wanted to be appreciated. You know, that's all." And she didn't mean to upend her entire family. And, you know, she inadvertently becomes, you know, a potential architect of her own tragedy. You know, her family and her partner are the most important thing to her in the world, and she manages to almost lose them. But that's the other thing that's really compelling about it, is that we often do that. We don't mean to do stuff like that, but we do. And you hurt the ones that you love the most. Those are the ones that the ones you hold most dear.
Actors often talk about how much more fun it is to play a villain